Hello and welcome to the 73 questions video. How are you?
Good.
Are you ready for your 73 questions?
Yes.
Who are you?
My name is Paula. I am originally from Germany and I lived in New York City for all of high school. And then at Dartmouth, I studied film modified with economics, but I just graduated in June, so I was class of 2020.
Why did you choose Dartmouth?
When I visited the campus, I just loved the campus. I visited in fall, which is the most beautiful time to be there, and it's so gorgeous. And then also the people. So after I'd applied and I'd gotten in, they did this weekend, which was called Dimensions, where we got to know the campus and the people, and it was just incredible. So the people and also the campus itself.
Are you happy you chose Dartmouth?
Yes.
How similar is Dartmouth to the movie? 1, it's nothing like it. 10, it's identical.
I mean, I feel like if people think of Dartmouth movies, they think of Animal House, and I would say it's not very similar to that. Maybe a 3.
Why a 3?
It's just not like Animal House, I thought.
If you had to choose a song to describe your college experience, which one would you choose?
Closer by the Chainsmokers.
Why?
It's the song that describes my entire college experience just because it was played at almost every party. Wait, no, actually, by the Killers, Mr. Brightside by the Killers. That song is played at every single party, so definitely that song. And Closer as well, though.
What's your all-time favorite thing about Dartmouth?
The people.
What's a stereotype that holds true?
I think that's difficult to say because there are a lot of different people at Dartmouth. I would say a lot of people are very outdoorsy and a lot of people really like pong, like beer pong, but the Dartmouth version of that.
What's your favorite thing to do on campus?
I think just sitting on the green. So the green is just this space in the middle of campus in front of one of our libraries, and it's just very beautiful to sit there in the summer and walk around Ockham Pond.
What's your favorite place?
I think both the places I just mentioned. Ockham Pond is just very beautiful, and also Pine Park, very beautiful to walk through Pine Park and also to go running there.
Rate your dining hall experience 1 to 10.
10 being the best, maybe a 6. I have a lot of dietary restrictions, so it's a little bit tough for me to find food on campus, so I mostly cooked my own food.
What's the best dining hall on campus?
So we have several. We have the main dining hall, which has like face style all you can eat, which is called Vogue. Then we have Collis, where you can get your own stir fry and they make it for you, and smoothies and fresh sushi and sandwiches and omelets and eggs and different foods every day and a lot of snacks. Then we have a couple snack bars. Then we have the Hob, which is mostly like burgers and fried food and stuff like that. I would say Collis was always my favorite because you could get fresh stir fry. You could choose veggies and they make it fresh for you with this different sauce that you like.
What's the worst thing you've eaten in the dining hall?
I think it was in the main dining hall. So I'm from Germany and they tried to make German food, like German sausages and stuff like that. And it was just not the real deal. And then it's always a little unfortunate when people then think that's what German food is like when it's not.
What's your go-to late night snack on campus?
Oh, the ice cream cookie sandwich.
What clubs are you involved in?
So I was involved with Her Campus, which my friend and I founded the chapter of Her Campus on our campus. Then I was involved with AZD, a sorority, where I did different things. I was a photographer for the Dartmouth, and I was a drill instructor for German, which basically means I was a teacher's assistant.
What are your passions?
I think my passions is one, film. I really enjoyed that. And then I also got really into sustainability during my time at Dartmouth.
What's your ride or die on campus?
My best friend Andrea and the rest of our group, but definitely Andrea. I spent the most time with her. I got to know her through my sorority and we spent all of our time together basically.
Is there Greek life?
Yes.
What percentage is in Greek life?
So you're not allowed to rush until your sophomore year, which I actually really liked. And during your first 6 to 8 weeks of freshman year, you're not even allowed to enter any frats or sororities. And then you aren't allowed to rush until sophomore year. So yeah, there is Greek life, but not that many people overall. But I think of the people who are allowed to rush, around 80%. It's a lot of people.
Are you in a sorority?
Yes.
If you weren't in one, do you think you would have FOMO?
That's a tough one. Maybe just because there are so many people involved in Greek life, but Greek life is pretty inclusive in terms of the parties, so you can still go to the parties even if you aren't involved in Greek life. But I do think that most people are involved, so you don't need to have FOMO if you're not involved. A lot of people choose to not be involved just because they don't enjoy it, and that's totally fine, and then they won't experience FOMO. So it depends what kind of person you are.
How do you like the sorority?
I really, really like it. I was an Alpha Z Delta, and I got to know all of my close friends through that sorority. I loved all the events that we did because we had a nice mix of programming events, which were more like wholesome events where we went apple picking and baked together, cooked together, all of that stuff. And then we had social events, which were the parties. So I really liked that we had the mix of both going out and partying, but also the wholesomeness. So I really, really loved it, and it made my experience at Dartmouth a billion times better.
Which house does the best parties?
I think that really depends on the vibe you're going for. There are a couple of frats that are more known for their dance parties, like GDX has a lot of dance parties. TDX usually has dance parties later at night. And then if you're more into like a chill scene, maybe BG would be for you. And then if you're really into Pong, I would say most houses play Pong at some point during the night. And Dartmouth Pong is a little bit different than normal beer pong because we don't actually just throw the ball. We use table tennis paddles, but we break off the handle and then you hold the paddle and then you kind of have to hit the ball with that, which is a lot of fun, and it's a big thing at Dartmouth. Like, people take it very seriously to the point that during this summer we have sophomore summer where all the sophomores stay on campus to get to know each other a little bit better and to make sure they're the only class on campus. And there's actually a tournament that's a Pong tournament. People take it very seriously.
How often do people go out to parties?
Definitely our on nights are Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, but that doesn't mean people go out on all 3 nights. I definitely know people who did. I didn't every week, every now and then I did, but on average I would say 1 to 3 times.
What's a typical Dartmouth party outfit?
Definitely Converse, because the frat basement, all our apartments are in frat basements pretty much, and the floors are pretty disgusting from all the beer and stuff. So some shoes that are just old and you don't mind getting dirty and smelly. Then probably jeans shorts or like high-waisted jeans, and then maybe like a crop top.
How late do the parties run until?
Not too late. I would say most of the time I would be home by like 1 or 2 a.m., which is very different from my study abroad experience where parties went a lot later. But it depends. Like sometimes we would go home after a party and just like hang out, or go to one of the snack bars and just get some snacks and then hang out. But the actual parties, I would say usually until like 1 or 2 a.m. latest.
If your school was on an alcohol, which one would it be?
If we were in alcohol, definitely Keystone Light, which is the beer that Dartmouth students drink like crazy. I do not like that beer. It doesn't taste very good. But yeah, definitely Keystone Light.
What's your favorite thing to do off campus?
It's kind of tough to get off campus if you don't have a car. There is a bus system, which I discovered in my last year there, literally. But it's still kind of hard to get off campus without a car. But if you have a car, it's so much fun to go hiking. I did that a few times. There are some easy hikes and some harder hikes, and there are also clubs like the Dartmouth Outdoor Club that organize different hiking events. And then I love that one smoothie place. It's called Jewel, and they have the most delicious smoothies and healthy snacks. So there are a few cute cafes in the area, but just the nature in general is very, very beautiful.
Are the libraries silent or social?
It depends. For example, in our main library in Baker-Berry, the higher up you get, like in the floors, the more quiet it gets. So if you're on the main floor, it's more social and you want to be like FaceTimey, which is a word Dartmouth students use a lot. If you want to be seen, then you go into Blobby, which is one of the areas in the library, because everyone passes through there, so you want to be seen. But other libraries are completely silent, so it depends where you go. You can find both.
Which library is your favorite?
I loved Sanborn Library, which kind of looks like an old English library, and they have tea and cookies every day, I think at 3 p.m.
What's your favorite place to study?
I studied a lot in my room actually, then in the libraries, and then my friend got an off-campus apartment in our junior year, I think, so we studied at her off-campus apartment all the time.
What's your typical class size?
It depends. I mean, I had some classes that were more like intro classes where we were over 100 people, but very, very few. Most of my classes were very small, like less than 20 people for sure, and some classes like 4 or 5 people.
How many hours of homework do you do a day?
That really, really depends. Sometimes some weeks are super busy, especially because Dartmouth terms are only 10 weeks, so everything is super, super condensed. So some weeks I would have to study the entire day. Other days it's only like 2 hours or an hour or so, or sometimes no homework at all for a day if you need a day off. So very much depends on whether it's midterm season or not.
Are you sleep deprived?
Most of the time I would say I wasn't.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
I always got 7 or 8 hours of sleep at least.
What's the best tip for juggling social life, classes, and extracurriculars?
You tell me if you find the trick for that, but I would say trying to surround yourself with people that have the same goals. For example, if you both know you have a midterm the next day, try to study together with them so you can have some social time but also study. But yeah, definitely time management. Just like make a plan for yourself and also schedule in social time so that you make sure you get some fun time as well.
1 to 10, how attractive is your student body?
I would say that really depends on what you define as being attractive.
Hookups or relationships? What's the dating culture?
Sadly, mostly hookups, I would say. Very few of my friends were in relationships.
How fashionable is your campus?
I would say overall not very much.
1 to 10, how would you rate your school spirit?
I don't know. I would say pretty high. I mean, especially Dartmouth alumni are very, very passionate about Dartmouth and are very open to talking about their time there or helping you get jobs and internships and stuff like that. So maybe even like a 9.
How much do you walk a day?
A lot, because I walk to all my classes, and Dartmouth is not a very big campus, but I definitely got my 10,000 steps a day.
Do a lot of students use bikes?
Yep.
How athletic would you rate your school? From couch potato to Olympian?
Somewhere in the middle. I would say most people try to stay somewhat active, and as I said, like just walking to classes, you usually get 10,000 steps a day already, so pretty athletic.
Do you have to dress up for class?
I always did, because just I feel better if I dress up a little, but you don't have to.
What's the typical temperature during winter?
Cold, very, very cold. I don't know in Fahrenheit, but it would get to like a negative 20 Celsius, so very, very cold.
Is there a typical piece of clothing you see people wearing on campus?
Patagonia jacket, a lot of people wear that. I didn't own one. And Dartmouth gear.
What's an essential item to bring to college when you
move there? Flip-flops for the shower.
How often do you leave campus?
Not too often. As I said, it's kind of hard to get off campus, but once I had friends with cars, maybe max once a week, just because we're always so busy, so it's kind of hard to find the time to go off campus.
Do you feel safe walking around the campus at night?
Oh, always. I always felt super safe, no matter what time it was. There's also safety and security constantly driving around, so I felt super safe just walking by myself everywhere at night.
What year are people allowed to move off campus?
Sophomore year, I think. Pretty sure, yeah.
How close is the nearest airport?
Well, there is a tiny airport that's less than an hour away. I'm not sure exactly how far. That only flies to Boston and New York. But the next international airport is Boston, which is like 3 hours away. But there's a bus that drives there several times a day.
If I had known, I would have never chosen it.
Would never chosen Dartmouth? I would have still chosen Dartmouth.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've seen someone do on campus?
I don't know if this is embarrassing. It's more something that shocked me. During the winter, there was someone who always walked around barefoot. And as I said, it gets very, very cold in the winter and there was a lot of snow. And there was someone who always walked around barefoot.
Have you ever seen a celebrity on campus?
Yes.
Who?
I met Harrison Ford, and then we also had a bunch of politicians and other people visit, but I definitely remember meeting Harrison Ford. That was pretty cool.
Do you feel every socioeconomic class is represented at Dartmouth?
Yeah, but not equally, I would say.
How often do you see the president of Dartmouth?
Quite a lot of times. So we have frat row, which has all the fraternities, and his house is at the end of that. And then my friend's off-campus house was at the even past that. So I would walk past his house a lot. So I saw him a lot, and he just also walks around campus a lot. He also goes to the gym, and he always says hi. He's very, very friendly.
Do you think you have met a future millionaire?
Definitely.
Is Dartmouth academically competitive, or do you help each other out?
I would say both. I mean, people do take their grades very seriously, but we still collaborate and study with each other. So it's not like you're trying to hurt each other or anything. You're still trying to support each other. But they do everyone takes their grades seriously, I would say. Mostly everyone.
Do the majority of kids want to be rich or change the world?
So a lot of people at Dartmouth study econ, like economics, and they want to go into finance. So I would say they just want to be rich. But I definitely know a lot of people who actually really want to change the world and are very passionate about that.
Do most graduates leave with jobs?
Usually yes. Now during the lovely pandemic that we're in, it's a little bit different, but usually yes.
Number 1 tip for success?
Collaboration and time management.
How do you like the area?
I love it. The area is beautiful. Like Hanover, the little town that we're in, is gorgeous. It's so cute, and we have everything you need, like grocery store, a few clothing shops, and especially in fall, it's so beautiful when all the trees change colors. But it's nice that we have every single season. Like the fall is very beautiful, the winter is very cold and a lot of snow, the spring is very beautiful, and then the summer gets very warm. So you get all 4 seasons, and it's gorgeous.
Is your school clique?
Like cliquey, kind of. It's like if you join a sorority or a frat, I would say that's mostly your clique. Doesn't mean you don't have friends outside of that sorority, but in the end, those are the people that you spend your most time with. So I would say kind of.
Is your campus diverse?
Yeah, but it could always be more diverse.
Do you think it needs more diversity?
Yeah.
Describe the best party you've been to.
There was one party, it was like a foam party last year, and that was a lot of fun. They had like a foam machine and everyone was just dancing in the foam. So usually I'm a big dance party person.
What's your favorite Dartmouth tradition?
There are so many. In fall we have homecoming with a big bonfire when all the alumni come back. And we used to have to run around the bonfire. So since I was class of 2020, I ran 20 laps around it. It's a little bit different today, but that was fun. Then winter carnival, there's an ice sculpture contest, which my friend and I participated in. And then the polar bear plunge, where they cut a hole into the lake, like into the frozen pond, and you swim through it. And then in spring, we have Green Key Weekend, which is just a bunch of concerts throughout the weekend.
Do you think Dartmouth is the best Ivy League college?
Obviously.
Should everyone apply to Dartmouth?
Of course.
Alright, that was it.
Thank you.